Intro music with a spooky, atmospheric vibe fades in and then out. What if I told you that the ghost stories you heard as a kid aren't just stories? That some places are so soaked in tragedy and dark energy that the past has never truly left. Today, we're not talking about campfire tales. We're taking a trip to 3 of the most notoriously haunted places on Earth, where countless people have sworn they've come face to face with the other side. So dim the lights and let's get started. First up, we're heading to the rolling green hills of Ireland, to a place with a name that sounds almost evil. Leap Castle. This isn't your fairy tale Disney castle, built in the 13th century. Its history is a brutal catalogue of betrayals, murders, and torture. The most infamous story is of 2 brothers from the O'Carroll clan, one a warrior, the other a priest. As the priest was holding mass in the chapel, his own brother stormed in and ran him through with a sword, right on the altar. That chapel is now known as the Bloody Chapel, and visitors still report seeing the ghost of the priest, sometimes even smelling the incense he was burning. But that's not even the scariest part. In the early 1900s, workers discovered a hidden dungeon, an oubliette behind a wall in the chapel. Inside, they found a horrifying sight: countless human skeletons piled on top of spikes. It's estimated that over 150 bodies were pulled from this single pit. And from this darkness, it said something inhuman was born. It's a creature known only as the Elemental. People describe it as a hunched, sheep-sized entity with a face of pure decay, followed by the sickening smell of a rotting corpse and sulfur. Even the current owners of the castle who live there have had encounters with it. They say it's a pre-human spirit, a force of pure malevolence, drawn to the centuries of violence. Think you're brave enough for a sleepover? Next, we travel across the Atlantic to the United States, to a place that looks serene but hides a dark, tragic secret. The Myrtles Plantation in St. Francisville, Louisiana. This beautiful antebellum home is often called one of America's most haunted houses, and it all revolves around the legend of a slave girl named Chloe. The story goes that the master of the house, Judge Woodruff, was having an affair with Chloe. Fearing she would be cast out, she began eavesdropping on the family's conversations. When she was caught, the judge had one of her ears cut off as punishment. From then on, she wore a green turban to hide the scar. Seeking to win back the family's favor, Chloe devised a desperate plan. She baked a cake containing a small amount of poison from oleander leaves, intending to just make the family sick so she could nurse them back to health and be seen as a hero. But she misjudged the dose. The judge's wife and 2 young daughters ate the cake and died in agony. The other slaves, fearing the judge's wrath would fall upon all of them, took matters into their own hands. They dragged Chloe from her bed and hanged her from a nearby tree. To this day, visitors to the Myrtles report seeing a woman in a green turban wandering the grounds, her sorrowful spirit forever tied to the home. People also capture photos of ghostly figures in the windows and hear the phantom cries of children at night. One of the most famous pieces of evidence is a photograph that seems to show the ghostly apparition of a young girl standing between 2 of the buildings. A postcard from the past that refuses to fade away. For our final stop, we're going to an island that you can never leave. At least not alive. Off the coast of Venice, Italy, lies Poveglia Island. Its history is the stuff of nightmares. During the height of the bubonic plague, Poveglia became a quarantine colony, a dumping ground for the sick and dying. Tens of thousands of people were shipped here, left to die in mass graves and burned in giant pyres. It's said that the soil of the island is more than 50% human ash. The sheer scale of suffering is almost unimaginable. But it gets worse. In the 1920s, a mental hospital was built on the island. The patients immediately began reporting that they were being tormented by the ghosts of the plague victims, their screams echoing through the halls. But their cries were dismissed as madness. The head doctor, however, was a truly twisted individual. He believed he could cure insanity by performing lobotomies and other horrific experiments on his patients in the bell tower, using crude tools like hammers and chisels. The legend says that the doctor was eventually driven mad himself by the very ghosts he tortured his patients over. He climbed the bell tower and threw himself to his death. A nurse who witnessed it claimed he didn't die from the fall, but that, as he lay on the ground, a ghostly mist swirled up from the earth and choked the life out of him. The island is now completely abandoned, strictly forbidden to visitors. Fishermen won't even cast their nets near its shores, for fear of dragging up human bones. They say on a quiet night, you can still hear the bell from the tower tolling across the Venetian lagoon, even though the bell was removed decades ago. So, from a cursed Irish castle and a tragic southern plantation to an Italian island of the dead, these places are a chilling reminder that some stories are written in blood, and some locations are forever stained by the echoes of the past. The question is, do you believe? Spooky outro music fades in and plays to the end.